zero. I will just now to think which
This mining is energy intensive. Here, they're using surplus electricity from Ethiopia's dams.
While the world debates regulation and fears the rise of artificial intelligence, one African nation quietly did something extraordinary. It started minting Bitcoin with rivers. Yes, Ethiopia, a country once known mainly for its coffee, its history, and its endless struggle for self-reliance, has turned its mighty Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam or GERD into a digital mint. Using the raw force of water, the nation is converting electricity into Bitcoin, and millions in foreign currency are flowing back into its economy. But behind this remarkable triumph lies a storm of questions. Who really benefits when a third of a nation's electricity powers machines instead of homes? And can a country still struggling to connect 15 million people to the grid afford to feed the blockchain instead? Let's find out. When the Ethiopian government announced in early 2025 that it was lifting its freeze on Bitcoin mining licenses, the world barely noticed. But within months, what started as a quiet policy reversal exploded into one of Africa's most transformative economic experiments. Suddenly, global mining giants were landing in Addis Ababa. Chinese-built mining rigs arrived by the container load. Ethiopia, once known for coffee and dams, was now making global headlines as a Bitcoin powerhouse. This wasn't a move born from hype, it was born from necessity. For years, Ethiopia had been battling an economic squeeze. Import bills were rising, foreign reserves were shrinking, and foreign investors often came with political strings attached. The government, led by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, needed a way to generate hard currency fast. Without going back to the IMF or bowing to Western lenders, that's where Bitcoin came in. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam GERD became the centerpiece of this bold new plan. After a decade of defiance, sanctions, and diplomatic tension, the dam was finally complete. Standing tall over the Blue Nile, it was more than a dam. It was a symbol of sovereignty, capable of generating over 5,000 megawatts of clean power. But there was one problem: not all that power had somewhere to go. The country's transmission lines couldn't yet carry the full load, and domestic demand wasn't high enough to absorb it all. Ethiopia was literally producing more electricity than it could use, so policymakers asked a simple but revolutionary question. Why let megawatts go to waste when you can sell them digitally? That single question flipped Ethiopia's entire economic strategy. The government handed control of the new industry to the Information Network Security Administration, INSA, the country's cybersecurity body. Every license, every contract, every what sold would be state-regulated. There would be no chaos, no speculation, no free-for-all like in other countries. Bitcoin mining was allowed, but cryptocurrency trading remained banned. Ethiopia wasn't chasing the hype. It was using digital energy as a tool to earn hard currency. And it worked. Within just 10 months, Ethiopia Electric Power, the national utility, reported over $555 million in electricity sales, most of it paid in US dollars by mining companies operating near hydropower plants. More than 25 licensed miners and 40 data center operators set up shop, locking in long-term deals at rates between 3 cents and 5 cents per kilowatt hour, among the cheapest in the world. For a country constantly battling inflation and currency shortages, this was like opening a new gold mine, but one that never runs out of ore. Except this gold was digital, renewable, and sovereign. And that's the heart of Ethiopia's message to the world. We don't need aid, we'll power our own future. In a global system that often punishes African ambition, this was revolutionary. Ethiopia wasn't asking for investment, it was monetizing sovereignty. It turned water into wealth, using what it already had instead of what others offered. Still, the success came with controversy. By mid-2025, Bitcoin miners were consuming nearly one-third of Ethiopia's total electricity. Critics warned that such demand could weaken public supply. But officials countered that most of the electricity sold to miners was surplus, power that would have otherwise gone unused. Citizens, however, began asking harder questions. If the government could supply endless power to foreign miners, why were millions still living in darkness? Why were rural villages still waiting for electricity while the hum of Bitcoin machines filled the night air? The government's answer was unapologetic. We are not neglecting the people, we are using Bitcoin to fund electrification. That argument, turning digital profits into physical infrastructure, became the moral foundation of Ethiopia's Bitcoin experiment. And to understand it fully, you have to stand before the dam itself. Rising from the Benishangul Gumuz region, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam isn't just concrete and turbines. It's a symbol of defiance. Built with no Western loans, funded by Ethiopians themselves, it stands as proof that an African nation can finance its own dreams. And now those same turbines that were meant to light homes are lighting up the blockchain. The irony is poetic. The Nile's flow, once a source of regional tension, is now a source of digital wealth. The same water Egypt once threatened war over is now minting Bitcoin that strengthens Ethiopia's reserves. But hydropower isn't like oil. It depends on the weather. A single dry year could cut production, forcing tough choices: power homes or power the blockchain. To prevent that, the government introduced a tiered system. Domestic electricity gets priority, and only surplus power feeds the miners. Still, it's a delicate balance. One wrong move could ignite public outrage. Then there's geopolitics. The GERD project once angered Egypt, which feared reduced Nile flows. Now, its digital reinvention is reshaping Ethiopia's global standing. By transforming water into currency, Ethiopia isn't just controlling a river. It's controlling its narrative. It's proving that Africa doesn't need to export raw materials to create wealth. It can refine energy digitally and export value instead of vulnerability. But who really benefits from this new digital economy? Follow the money, and the story gets complicated. Ethiopian Electric Power sells energy to mining firms, many of which are foreign-owned. Chinese, Singaporean, and Emirati companies dominate the sector, bringing in their own rigs, servers, and engineers. They earn the Bitcoin while Ethiopia earns through electricity sales and taxes. Critics call it a new kind of resource extraction, not of gold or oil but of data and digital profit. Foreign firms take the big winnings while Ethiopia collects a smaller, more stable income. The government argues this is just the beginning, a learning phase. Attract foreign capital first, build local capacity later. And to be fair, the strategy is already paying off in other ways. The mining boom has created new jobs for electricians, technicians, and engineers. Universities are adding blockchain and renewable energy programs. Local entrepreneurs are starting small data centers powered by renewable mini-grids. Meanwhile, the foreign currency earned is helping stabilize the economy. Ethiopia's central bank uses the inflows to pay for essential imports: fuel, fertilizer, medical supplies, all without turning to Western lenders. Some experts even say that if this continues, Bitcoin mining could rival coffee exports in foreign exchange earnings, something unimaginable just a few years ago. Yet beneath the optimism lies an uneasy truth: Bitcoin's price is volatile. A single market crash could erase millions in expected revenue. Ethiopia is trying to hedge by expanding into other digital exports: AI data centers, cloud computing, and green tech infrastructure. But for now, much of the new wealth still depends on a digital currency no one truly controls. Beyond economics, there's a human story unfolding. Drive just a few hours from Addis Ababa, and you'll still find villages waiting for their first light bulb. Farmers in Amhara, merchants in Oromia, and students in Afar know about Bitcoin, but still study by candlelight to know them. The Bitcoin boom feels distant. Yet government officials argue that without the mining revenue, electrification would move even slower. You can't light up the countryside without money, one energy economist said. And you can't earn that money without exporting power. That's the trade-off Ethiopia has chosen: sacrifice today's consumption for tomorrow's connection. Still, the pressure is rising. Urban businesses complain of occasional outages and higher tariffs. The Ethiopian electric utility says these are temporary adjustments, but small businesses feel squeezed. Amid all this tension, one feeling remains strong: pride. Pride that Ethiopia dared to do what no one thought possible. Pride that an African country is competing in a field once dominated by Silicon Valley and Shanghai. Pride that Africa can innovate, not imitate. The real question now is, will this digital revolution translate into real development? The government insists it will. Part of the mining revenue is now channeled into a national electrification fund, aimed at expanding power access to rural regions. Early reports suggest that the first phase is already bringing electricity to new communities. It's still early, but the direction is clear. Ethiopia wants to turn Bitcoin into bridges, power lines, and schools. But time will tell whether this dream becomes reality or remains a story of promise lost to profit. Because for all its brilliance, Ethiopia's Bitcoin experiment is more than a financial move. It's a test of faith. Can a developing nation harness a decentralized technology without losing control of its destiny? That question defines Ethiopia's future. And as the turbines of the Renaissance Dam spin endlessly, feeding both the grid and the blockchain, one thing is certain. Ethiopia has proven that in the age of digital empires, power is not just about oil, gold, or guns. It's about energy, innovation, and the courage to turn a river into a revolution.